Most people never lose because they were not strong enough. They lose because, at the critical moment, they could not control what was happening inside them. That is the truth that almost no one talks about. Strength alone has never been the deciding factor in the hardest battles of life. The deciding factor has always been the mind. Not the loudest mind, not the most aggressive mind, the most controlled mind. Think about every difficult situation you have ever faced. Think about the moments where you made your worst decisions, where you said the wrong thing, where you reacted too quickly, where you let emotion take the wheel and drive you straight into damage you could not undo. In almost every one of those moments, the problem was not that you lacked the ability to handle the situation. The problem was that your emotions were louder than your thinking. And when emotion becomes louder than reason, judgment disappears. This is what most people do not understand. Anger feels like power. Fear feels like instinct. Frustration feels like urgency. But all three of them, when left uncontrolled, are destruction disguised as energy. Anger narrows your vision until you can only see the source of your rage. Fear floods your system with noise until you cannot think clearly. Frustration makes every problem feel like a wall instead of a door. And when you are operating from any of these states, you are not at your most powerful, you are at your most vulnerable. The most dangerous thing that can happen to a person in a high-pressure situation is not that they are facing something difficult. It is that they lose the ability to think. When panic sets in, when emotion overrides logic, when the nervous system is flooded and the mind starts reacting instead of reasoning, ordinary problems become catastrophes. And the worst part is that people in that state believe they are handling the situation. They believe they are strong because they are responding with intensity. But intensity without direction is just chaos, and chaos never wins. Pressure does not reveal weakness. Pressure reveals what was always there. When someone places heat on a structure, it either holds or it fractures. The fracture was always present. The pressure only made it visible. This is what pressure does to the mind. When life increases the heat, when circumstances push back hard, when relationships, finances, health, and opportunity all begin to collapse at once, the mind that was never trained will fracture. Not because the person is bad, not because they are not capable, but because they were never taught to stand still inside a storm. And then there is something else. There is a different kind of mind entirely. A mind that looks at a storm and does not flinch. Not because it does not feel the pressure, but because it has learned to separate feeling from function. This mind still registers pain, still feels the weight of difficulty, still recognizes that the situation is serious. But it does not react. It observes. It does not panic, it calculates. It does not collapse into emotion. It remains operational. This is what I am calling a cold mind. And I want to be very precise about what that means, because coldness in this context is not cruelty. It is not indifference. It is not emotional numbness or an absence of feeling. A cold mind is not a broken heart. It is a trained one. A cold mind is the mind that has been conditioned through deliberate practice and repeated exposure to difficulty to function clearly even when the situation demands a reaction. It is the mind that can sit in silence while others are shouting and still hear the solution. It is the mind that can receive bad news, absorb the weight of it, and then begin thinking about what to do next. Not tomorrow, right now. While everyone else is still reacting, the cold mind is already 3 steps ahead. This is the quality that separates people who survive difficult things from people who are destroyed by them. It is not intelligence alone. There are intelligent people who fall apart under pressure. It is not experience alone. There are experienced people who repeat the same emotional mistakes for decades. The separating quality is the capacity to remain calm when calmness feels impossible. To think clearly when everything around you is designed to make you panic. To respond with intention when every nerve in your body is screaming at you to react. And this capacity is not something you are born with. That is one of the most important things I can tell you. Emotional control is not a personality trait. It is not something some people have and others do not. It is a skill. It is trained. It is built through repetition, through intentional practice, through choosing again and again in small moments and large ones to pause before you respond, to breathe before you decide, to think before you speak. That choice, made consistently over months and years, becomes something powerful. It becomes automatic. It becomes the foundation of a disciplined mind. The first and most critical habit of a disciplined mind is the pause. It sounds almost too simple to be useful, but its power is extraordinary. Before you respond to anything that triggers an emotional reaction, you pause. 1 breath. 3 seconds, sometimes 10. In that pause, something crucial happens. The emotional impulse begins to lose its momentum. The urgency that was demanding an instant reaction starts to settle. And in that small window of silence, your rational mind has the space to enter the conversation. The pause is the moment where control begins. It is the bridge between reaction and response, between instinct and intention. Most of the damage in human relationships, in professional situations, in personal crises, is done in the seconds before the pause. In the moments of impulsive speech, impulsive action, impulsive decision. The person who sent the message they should not have sent. The person who said the thing they could never take back. The person who made the choice in anger that followed them for years. All of that damage lives in the gap between emotion and control. And a pause is what closes that gap. The second habit is silence. Strategic silence. Not the silence of weakness, not the silence of someone who has nothing to say or who is afraid to speak, but the deliberate chosen silence of someone who understands that not every moment requires a response, that not every provocation deserves a reaction, that there is immense power in observing without engaging. When someone is trying to destabilize you, when a situation is designed to produce an emotional response in you, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Silence communicates in a language that disruption cannot decode. It signals that you are not controlled by external noise. It signals that you are operating from somewhere deeper than reaction. And it gives you information. Because while you are silent, the situation continues to develop. People reveal more, patterns become visible, and the mind that is not busy reacting is free to notice all of it. The third habit is analysis. The instinct of an untrained mind when confronted with a problem is to complain about it, to narrate it, to share the frustration of it with anyone who will listen. And while that can provide temporary emotional relief, it does nothing to solve the problem. It only keeps the mind focused on what is wrong rather than what can be done. The disciplined mind moves quickly from acknowledgement to analysis. It registers the problem clearly, without minimizing it and without dramatizing it, and then it asks the only questions that matter. What are my options? What do I control? What is the most intelligent next step? These questions redirect energy from emotion into strategy. And strategy, applied with patience and clarity, is how difficult situations are actually resolved. The fourth habit is physical and mental training. The mind and the body are not separate systems. They are deeply interconnected, and what you do with your body has a direct and measurable impact on your mental and emotional stability. When you train your body regularly, when you push through physical discomfort deliberately and consistently, you are teaching your nervous system something that carries far beyond the gym or the track. You are teaching it that discomfort is not a reason to stop. That difficulty is not a signal to retreat. That the sensation of struggle is information, not a command. The person who has trained their body to endure knows something in their bones that others only know in theory. They know what it feels like to keep going when stopping would be easier. And that knowing changes how they show up when life provides the kind of pressure no training session can prepare you for. The fifth habit is the cultivation of patience. Patience is not passive. I want to make that absolutely clear. because patience is often misunderstood as waiting without purpose. Real patience is an active discipline. It is the ability to maintain your direction, your clarity, and your composure, while a situation unfolds at its own pace and not yours. It is the ability to hold a long-term perspective when the short term is uncomfortable. It is the refusal to let impatience make your decisions, because impatience is one of the most expensive emotions a person can carry. Impatient people abandon plans before they have time to work. They make moves before the timing is right. They speak before the moment is ready, and they pay for that impatience, often in ways they do not immediately trace back to its source. The person with patience understands that most situations require time, that most solutions reveal themselves gradually, that most problems, if approached with steady, consistent effort, resolve in ways that cannot be forced. Patience is not giving up. Patience is trusting the process enough to let it complete itself without destroying it in your anxiety to see results. Now I want to contrast two types of minds very directly, because the difference is important, and it is something most people have experienced from both sides. The emotional mind and the disciplined mind do not just respond differently to the same situations. They actually inhabit different realities. They experience the same events with completely different consequences. And the people who make that choice consistently, over time, are the ones who look back at the hardest chapters of their lives and realize they did not just survive them. They moved through them with a level of precision and control that changed who they became. The difficulty did not break them, it built them, because they refused to be defined by what was happening around them. They chose, instead, to be defined by how they responded to it. This is the quiet, unglamorous truth about strength. It does not announce itself. It does not perform for an audience. It simply holds. And when the moment arrives that requires everything you have, it is there, steady, focused, functional, ready. The hardest battles of your life will not be won by the most emotional person in the room. They will be won by the person who can think when thinking is hardest. The person who can remain calm when calm feels impossible. The person who has built, through discipline and practice and patience, a mind that does not break when the pressure rises. That person can be you. That person has always had the capacity to be you. The only question is whether you are willing to do the quiet, difficult, unglamorous work of building it, day by day. Decision by decision, pause by pause, silence by silence. The coldest minds win the hardest battles. If this reached you today, leave one word in the comments. Leave the word that tells me you understood. That tells me you are building the mind that does not break. Comment, cold mind.